Okay, my name is Richard Hill. I'm a lifelong Luton Town supporter, and I'm currently chairman of the Luton Town Disabled Supporters Association.
Richard, I mean, disabled supporters associations are fairly commonplace around the country.
Yep.
Ours is relatively new. Give us a little insight as to how it came about.
Well, rather embarrassingly, it kind of started, I guess, with the rant that I was having with the ticket office. I wanted some tickets for an away game at one of the local grounds, and I actually wanted 6 at the time for myself and family. And whilst they were available, I was actually told under no uncertain terms that myself and my carer would need to be sitting in a separate place to my other four people in the party, which I kind of objected to, as I am an ambulant disabled person, so I don't need the requirements of somebody who's a wheelchair user. The club at the time said, well, it wasn't their rules, it was the opposing team's rules, to which we had various correspondence by email, etc. And with my background, which is in disability sport and with a few contacts, I kind of found that it probably wasn't the right thing that the club or the opposing club were doing. So I kind of offered some assistance, and to cut a very long story short, the club were very receptive to actually having a meeting, and the Luton Town Disabled Supporters Association kind of came out of that, really.
And now we've got a fairly active, I think you'd call, and engaged
Yes.
committee.
Yeah.
And again, without putting words into your mouth, we all know that Kenilworth Road is lovable, but it is of an age. It's not
Yes.
best suited to the needs of our disabled fans. But the club and the association working together are trying their best.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, we have to, in my world, the word that comes up very often is reasonableness, and I think the club have displayed reasonableness all the way down the line here. We are aware that the ground is old. I've been coming here since I was 13, so the Kenilworth Road end, before it was covered, was all standing, so I can certainly remember standing in there. Clearly there's an area in there now where wheelchair users can see, home supporters. It's an old stadium. I think to make the changes that would bring it up to the required Football League legislation is probably prohibitive, and it's fairly unreasonable to expect that at this stage. But the club have been massively engaging in a lot of things that we've asked for, and what the club may consider small things, in my eyes, are actually fairly significant things. Handrails that have gone up, signage has been changed. I think we had an instance where there was a sign that said invalid toilets, which is obviously quite dated and now politically incorrect, which has been updated. So little things like that actually mean quite a lot. So personally, I'm really pleased with where we are at the moment.
And obviously, not only do we engage with the committee, but we have an open forum each year, which enables people who aren't on the committee to come along and have their, whether it be a moan and grumble or a word of congratulation. And again, from that, we've obviously introduced a new system whereby assisting the ticket office with understanding the rules and regulations surrounding disability and what people are entitled to.
Yes.
And there are other things planned in the future. I know that one of the committee is keen on getting the radios for the partially sighted.
Yes.
And that's something that we're actively seeking to introduce for the start of next season.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think well, I think one of the main purposes initially of forming a DSA was to help and aid the club in understanding the rules around who may be entitled to and who may not be entitled to, because I think it is confusing, and to a degree it probably still is confusing, particularly now where there's a changeover from DLA to the PVP, which is causing some issues. But we took and advised the club, just with our own background and our own expertise within our committee. We have taken outside advice as well from organisations such as Level Playing Fields, and we've also looked and spoken to other football clubs that do similar things. And I think what we're trying to do is to bring it into line with other football clubs the requirements for people to be able to access the stadium in those ways. And again, the club have been extremely engaging in that. It's not, don't get me wrong, it's not been a smooth ride all the way. It's quite a controversial area. It's a very emotive area with a lot of people, but I just feel that we have to make sure that we are doing the right thing. But I also feel that in some respects there will have been people that have been outside maybe the original criteria that probably shouldn't have been, that now fit within the criteria. And I guess that there are some people that go the other way as well, but we just have to make sure that it's the fairest process.
As part of the level playing field's week of action, well, it's more than a week of action with us, we're sort of spreading it over a couple of weeks, but
yes.
I know a lot of it is about perception.
Yes.
And I think most people, and arguably myself included, when you talk about disabled fans, you immediately think of wheelchairs.
You do.
And
yeah.
you look at Luton Town and you think, well, there's about somewhere in the region of 30 to 35 wheelchair spaces available around
yes.
the ground.
Yeah.
You think, well, that's not enough. But what people may not understand is the amount of other disabled season ticket holders that we have, and it's somewhere between 100 and 150, I think.
Yeah.
People maybe like yourself who haven't got the wheelchair disability, but
sure.
Want to come and watch a football, don't necessarily want to be in a special enclosure.
Yes.
And the club works hard to look after them.
Yeah, without a doubt, and I think the Level Playing Field's weeks of action will allow us to make people aware and raise the profile of disability, because as you say, I can throw a few stats in here to be honest, because only 7% of disabled people actually use wheelchairs, which means 93% don't. So those that have maybe a physical disability that aren't wheelchair users that are ambulant, it's mainly obvious what their disability is. But there's an awful lot of people out there with other disabilities and other impairments like hearing loss, etc. But certainly people that have a learning disability, it's very, very difficult to spot. And I think it's just about trying to make people aware of the fact that there are those supporters in and around the ground that have learning issues. I think this particular week is actually Autism Awareness Week, so it's kind of fairly apt really, and that is one of those hidden disabilities that causes all sorts of issues for those people that suffer with it, as well as their family life as well.
Looking forward, Richard, how do you see and what would you like to see the LTDSA achieve over the next period?
Well, I think some exciting times. I think potentially ahead with Luton, with the new stadium. I think as an organisation we would quite like to be not necessarily consulted, but I think we'd like to be kept in the loop, and anything we can offer in terms of accessibility issues within the new stadium would be fantastic moving forward. I think that is probably the biggest exciting thing that potentially could have happened in the club, certainly in my lifetime, and it does give us a one-time opportunity to get accessibility for people with disabilities right. Obviously there are rules and regulations on new buildings which will put most of that in place anyway, but it's just quite nice to have a bit of a personal touch, and from us as a DSA, it would be just quite nice to have some kind of empowerment in there. I think also we the DSA, this DSA is designed to be quite open and allow people to have their say. We have a Luton Town email address which people can contact any time. It's policed every day, and there are some inquiries that come through, things that we can answer ourselves as a DSA, but other things that we can't go through to the club itself, who have been exemplary with their responses to those as well. And I think those are sort of things just to allow people with disabilities the feeling that they do belong, the same as everybody else. And look, I think as a disabled supporter, I don't look for anything special. It's just I just want kind of the same as the average supporter, but knowing that in certain cases we can't have the same as other supporters, but the experience at the end of the day needs to be as near the same as possible, if that makes sense.
Brilliant. Thank you, Richard.